Well, welcome to the first episode of the Generations Church Between the Sundays podcast. This is something we've been talking about really for just a few weeks, but something that's been in our hearts for a long time. This idea of extending Sundays to between the Sundays, right?
Yeah.
To extend those. So we've always said whatever we do on Sunday, we want to matter on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a conversation for us to continue whatever happens. So sometimes we'll talk about the sermons, we'll talk about worship, we'll talk about something specific like child dedication or baptisms or just other specific things. It's not meant to be like another announcement segment. It's not meant to promote things necessarily, though we may talk about them, but really just to take our Sunday experiences and really push them into the week. And so thanks for watching on our YouTube channel or listening on your favorite podcast platform. But I've got Pastor Aaron White, who's our associate pastor. I've got Pastor Carson Hale, who's our youth and young adult pastor. Ooh. And we've just completed on Sunday a 2-week sermon series called Honor.
Yeah.
And we just looked at that virtue, this kind of missing virtue in culture. And that as Christ followers, like there's something different that we're called to. So, Aaron, you preached 2 Sundays ago. Maybe give us like the 30-second, 45-second summary. Hopefully, if you're watching or listening, you were either here in person or you've already watched or listened to that sermon. It was a great sermon, by the way. But
let's hope so.
Kind of give us the summary, the cliff notes of what you preached that day.
So in week 1, it was really about what honor was, and I talked about that. Honor means to value, to respect,
right.
To give weight to something. So to highly esteem something or someone. So when I honor Carson, like I'm valuing him, like I'm giving value to him. I'm respecting him. I'm giving weight, not physically to him, but like weight to our relationship.
Right.
And dishonor, I define as when you undervalue someone, when when you don't respect someone and you take them lightly. So it could be someone close to you. It can be whoever it may, what friend, family, government official, so on and so forth. Like it's to undervalue them and to take them lightly in their relationship and friendship lightly. And one of my favorite points, which was the first point, but the other points were good. I hope so. But the first point I loved, and it was honor elevates and dishonor decimates.
Yeah.
So when I give honor to someone, and when I honor someone, like it elevates them, it gives them weight.
Right.
It gives them respect. It gives them value.
Yeah.
And it elevates them, even if they don't deserve it. Like it elevates them. It elevates them, their relationship and our relationship. And when I dishonor, and it decimates, and decimates means to kill or destroy. Like it destroys that. It means I'm undervaluing them. Like I'm taking them lightly.
Yeah.
And I talked about how as Christ followers and people of God, like we're called to live differently.
Yeah.
And we're called to live a different way.
Well, I thought that point was great. Obviously, rhyming points are a little stickier. We remember them a little bit more. But I also loved the way you closed the message. You told a story about being at Panera and really trying to outdo someone in honor, trying to outdo someone in the value that you esteem toward them. And you challenged all of us to say like, hey, how can I outdo someone in honor? And so I loved that point because it was a personal challenge to me. So Pastor Carson, like you were listening to the sermon a couple weeks ago, you kind of even heard the summary there. Like, what was your biggest takeaway, or like, how did this sit with you as you kind of came out of that sermon?
Yeah, just two things. One, I kind of just like it came to me as he was speaking on it. That definition of dishonoring someone is to undervalue them.
Yeah.
Because that just as a definition recognizes that people have value. Are we willing to recognize that and then show them honor because of it? But my favorite point from your sermon was when you talked about how honor was countercultural. I mean, I think that's just evident. Like it's not our natural position as human beings to value and honor other people. We're so like self-centered as a culture. It's like who we are. And so just recognizing that you're not going to become a person who honors other people just by existing.
Yeah.
Like it's something you work at, you put intentionality into, and you move towards becoming a person who honors others. And that verse you used that said, always outdo one another in showing honor, that right there is like just a challenge in itself.
That's
And
good.
it's not just like culture today. Like it's not just
No,
in
that's right.
today's world. Like
That's right.
it's history.
Yeah, it's
It
been a
goes
problem
back.
for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like people
The fall?
dishonoring.
Would you say the fall? That's
Yeah,
when
the
it
fall.
started.
Yeah,
when it
that's when it started. The
Yeah.
fall.
So this past Sunday, I picked up where you left off. It was 2 weeks, so I continued and concluded our 2-week sermon series. But you talked about what honor was,
Mhm.
and then I talked about who we should honor and how we should honor.
Yeah.
And so I looked at this idea that we should honor God above everything else. We should honor political officials. We should honor spiritual leaders and pastors. We should honor our spouse. We should honor our kids. We should honor father and mother,
Mhm.
and we should also honor everyone. Like just
Mhm.
honor the brotherhood, honor all men, honor the king. Like we should honor every person.
Mhm.
Romans chapter 12 talks about that too. Like I honor everyone above myself or esteem them in that way. And so I
Yeah.
think for me, the challenge was as I started thinking about it, like you can break it down any way you want to, but ultimately the last one of those, after honoring God, like it's just like every person I come in contact with, kind of
Mhm.
like what you said, like what we talked about is if you can't find something to honor in someone, just
Mhm.
recognize they're made in the image of God.
Yeah.
Like look through all the
Yeah.
external stuff and see like they are an image bearer of God,
Mhm.
and you should honor that part of them if nothing else. So I'll start with Aaron and then I'll come back to you. But like as you listen to the message, as you're listening to it now, like what do you think is the most difficult for people in
Mhm.
general to live out in all of those various people that we're supposed to honor?
Yeah, right now it's easy to not honor, I feel like, especially in today's culture, like government officials. But I think because of the closeness of relationship, family,
Yeah.
spouse,
Right.
kids, parents,
Yeah.
extended family,
Yeah.
your in-laws.
Yeah.
It can be difficult
Yeah,
because
you're right.
you're in close proximity.
Yeah.
Like you're constantly together. You're in a
Yeah,
house
right.
together, for holidays.
You just went on
and-
vacation with your family. I
Yeah.
feel like maybe you're projecting a little bit. No,
No,
I'm just
and then
I'm
I'm
just
about to go on
kidding.
vacation with my in-laws. So here we go.
He's honing in on how do I honor my 2-year-old?
Yeah,
But that's good.
yeah. So it can be difficult
Yeah, right.
because I feel like there's things that
Yeah.
family can do
That's right.
that feels like dishonoring to you.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like
Yeah.
be the bigger person and honor anyway. So
I
it can be
had-
difficult.
I had a guy come up to me in the lobby after service. I can't remember if it was after the first or second. I think it was after the first service. But he said, like honoring my spouse, like I feel like I'm doing okay right there. He was like, but my in-laws, that's the one I'm struggling with the most right now. And he said, I feel like it's actually I'm mirroring what they're dishonoring to me,
Mhm.
so I dishonor them back. And he said, ultimately, that was the most challenging thing for me is I've got to I even honor. This is the line he said. I honor my spouse better by honoring her family.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that was he said that's my challenge. So
hard to
for
do.
you, as you're listening
so
to us
good.
talk, or even what you heard on Sunday, like what was your big takeaway?
I just want to say first and foremost, I have not been able to walk to my car without another guy on staff opening my door for me and my wife this week. Like I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna go run and get something, and they're already there just waiting for me to
That's
like usher
fantastic.
me into my vehicle.
That's
Like they're
we
definitely-
honor.
talked about that in the sermon. So like that's
Yeah.
not just out of the blue.
Right.
So if they
Yeah.
haven't heard the sermon
Pastor
or watched
Jeremy,
the sermon,
go back and watch it. Pastor Jeremy
Yeah.
talks about how like he makes it a priority to open Miss Corey's door, and they just every time they open my door, they open Madeleine's door. Like we're all just like waiting for the other one to get in the car. But for me, it was that first point. I got the opportunity to sit in both services. So
lucky you.
but yeah,
Yeah.
lucky me. But the first one is my brain kind of went on like a rabbit trail, but it was this idea of honoring God. That's how
Yeah.
you open it. Like that's everything flows from honoring God.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Just the fact that we're all made in the image of God,
Yeah.
and that God is so holy and so different than all of us, and that's why we do honor Him. And then that God has like made us holy because of the righteousness of Jesus, and so because of that, we're not common. We're not just something you can find.
It's good.
Like we are like His like crown jewels. Like He values us that much,
Yeah.
and so when you think about that concept, I mean. And then you hit the challenge of like outdo one another in honor. It's just like, well, we all have work to do.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's good. Well, I think for all of us, whether it's opening the door or it's being, I closed the message with the challenge this week in saying, "Who that I have dishonored
Mm.
can I honor this week?"
Yeah.
And that might be a person, it might be a waitress. Oh, my food was cold, or there was something wrong. So we dishonor that service industry person, the barista, the waitress, the whoever.
Mhm.
So maybe I dishonor people, or maybe I have a pattern of that, or I dishonor groups of people, a nationality, an
Mhm.
ethnicity, whatever. So how can I, we reference political officials on Facebook or in person, or like, how can I honor people as it relates to my honor for God towards his children, towards his sons and daughters, towards the daughter of God that I'm married to, or vice versa in other situations. So
it's kind of that reminder of like, do we believe it? Like, do we believe that person we're looking at was made in the image of God? And if so, like, what are we going to do about it?
It's challenging.
That's challenging. It's very challenging. Well, I think for all of us, what we want whenever we preach, teach, whenever we lead ministry moments and events, it's not just to stand on a stage and declare something, but it ultimately is to say, hey, we are trying to live this out. I had one lady, I was standing there and I went to shake her hand as she was leaving. She wouldn't shake my hand. And she was like, you stepped on my toes today. Now, she was kind of kidding, but it caught me off guard a little bit. And I said, well, hey, I stepped on my toes all week preparing, But
now
for
honor
sure,
me by shaking my hand.
Yeah. Now honor me, shake. But it really is for all of us. Anytime I stand to preach on a Sunday or at an event, like I want it to matter beyond that moment. Like I want it to be like that the gospel changes us, that it challenges us. Corey says that all the time. Like she coined that phrase here, that it would challenge and change us. Like that there's a challenge to it, but we wouldn't just stay living the way we've been living and doing what we've been doing. Like that the gospel gets into us and reshapes our behaviors and our attitudes and our thoughts. And so I do hope that this series really did that for all of us, and for our church family, and hopefully those that are watching or listening, that was the reality for you. And that's ultimately what these will be about, just conversations to take Sunday and extend it into Monday and beyond. So we're thankful that you've joined us.
Hey, one thing that I loved about
go ahead.
Sunday is, and we didn't hit on it, but 5 people.
Yeah, we had 5 salvations.
Salvation. Yeah.
I mean, we value that because we believe heaven values that. And so that's something that we offer every time we have a service.
Yeah.
No matter what we're preaching on, teaching on, no matter what else is happening, we always give that invitation because we never know who's come to church that day apart from Christ. And so we want to give them an opportunity to receive that, God spanned that gap. So yeah, that's a huge celebration for us. We celebrate that every week in our staff meetings and whatever those numbers have been that previous week. So that's a great reminder. But what we'd love for you to do is, if you're watching, you're listening on your podcast channels and platforms or YouTube, we'd love for you to subscribe. If you haven't already done so, rate it, review it, share it, send it to people.
5 stars.
My kids, when they watch YouTube, it's like, click the bell, ring the bell. I don't know what that means. But anyway, so if you do
notifications, baby.
Yeah, just get the notifications so that you get alerted when we do this. But just about every week, our plan, even if it's not me, one of our staff members, some of our staff will just sit and just have conversation to take the conversation in between Sundays. So thanks so much for watching and listening. God bless. We'll see you Sunday.